afternoon, all of you. So let's get going on agriculture today. And this will be one of the most important topics, even from prelims point of view. We have seen that sometimes questions are asked from agricultural topic. So let's get going. If we talk about the first thing, introduction में survey बोलते हैं that agriculture and allied sector activity contributes approximately 16% of the country's GDP for fiscal year 24, supporting 46.1% of the workforce. 16% of total GDP contributed by agriculture, supporting 46.1% of the workforce. And the growth has averaged 5%. This is very important. This is one of the fastest growth in agriculture over 5 years duration. 5 साल के duration में इतना high growth agriculture में बहुत कम देखने को मिला है. So 5% between fiscal year 17 and fiscal year 23. That between 17 to 23 we have seen agriculture recording a growth of 5%, which is a reason that we see that the employment in agriculture has also rather increased in these 5 years compared to what happened earlier. Then the quarter 2 fiscal year 25 growth rate at 3.5% due to 1, favorable weather patterns, 2, advancement in agricultural practices, advancements like moving to drip irrigation, advancements like using mechanization in agriculture, and 3, government initiatives to enhance productivity and sustainability. Government initiatives like agriculture infrastructure development program, government initiatives like Operation Green, government initiatives with respect to PM soil health card, Krishi Sinchai Yojana. So there are multiple government initiatives that have been taken to improve agricultural growth. However, I must remind you that agricultural growth last year was very subdued. It was only at around 1.9% per annum. So that is something that has been a worrying factor. But then that was an El Nino year, 23-24. An El Nino year implied that cropping did not do very well in India. So that is why agriculture could not do well last year, 23-24. 24-25, the growth rate till now, the first 2 quarters has been quite healthy. Even in the third quarter, the growth rate was comparatively healthy. Riding on good monsoon, Kharif food grain production is expected at 164 million metric tons, an increase of 8.9 MMT over last year. In fact, if we see the second advanced estimates, 166 million tons now they say will be the Kharif crop. ये सर्वे के बाद आया है ये रिजल्ट जो मैं शेयर कर रहा हूँ आपसे. And another, approximately 164 million tons they say will be the Rabi food grains. So what is expected is that India's food grain production will again touch 330 million tons, which is something that makes us more than secure with respect to food grain production for food security purposes. And then if we see further, the compound annual growth rate, if we look at various things, so agriculture and allied sector 3.6% is what we see as compound annual growth rate for the last decade. I need you to notice something here. If you see all crops is 2.1, cereal is 2, which means rice and wheat are not as rewarding now as they were in the past. There was a time when rice and wheat would be very rewarding, but they are not as rewarding now as they were in the past. Pulses have grown at 5%, fruits and vegetables 3.5. This is underperformance. Underperformance for a very simple reason that we don't have good enough still processing facility, storage facility. So farmers are reluctant to growing fruits and vegetables. Oil seeds is a challenge here because India has shifted its consumption to things like olive oil, palm oil. So oil seed cultivation has not improved much. Hopefully with National Food Security Mission on oil palm, oil seed production can improve a bit and hopefully India can do comparatively much better. Then, if you see further also, livestock has grown at 5.8%. This has been one of the backbones of Indian agriculture. Fisheries have recorded a growth rate of 8.7%, which is quite high, and they have pulled agricultural sector together. Milk has recorded 5.8, meat and eggs 7.5, and then corn and spices 6.7. What I need you to see is the high value crops like spices, high value crops like milk, high value production like poultry, that is now giving the increment mainly because of changing income pattern in India. India even 10 years ago was a $1.5 trillion economy. India 20 years ago was a $500 billion economy. और अगर रूपी टर्म्स में कर दूं तब तो और भी ज़्यादा आपको पता चलेगा. अगर मैं रूपी टर्म्स में बात करूं, then India 10 years ago in nominal terms was approximately 160 lakh crore economy. Today we are a 360 lakh crore economy. 12 years ago it was 160 lakh crore. Today it is 360 lakh crore. So you can well imagine the difference that we see of the richness of the country, and that will be the difference in pattern of consumption. So people will also consume more pulses, more oil seeds, but oil seeds are majorly imported in India. Then people will consume more fruits, vegetables, people will consume more milk and so on. So that is another thing. Also, processing industry has grown a lot in India. So processing industry growth again means that there will be high demand for milk, high demand for poultry, high demand for fisheries. So all that is playing its own role. तो ये data तुम याद रखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Trend क्या याद रखोगे? That livestock, fisheries, milk, meat and eggs are growing almost more than double the speed of traditional crops that we have, cereals and other crops. Then we see that what is the sectoral growth trend that we see. So a major global cereal producer, India accounts for 11.6% of global output. And crop sector has experienced a modest compound annual growth, which I was telling you, 2.1%. Crop yields are considerably lower compared to those of other leading producers. And again, this is due to lack of modernization, and it is due to lack of farmers' education. There was a research that we had done around 11 years ago now, and what we had found in that was that when it comes to agriculture, farmers who are graduates are 2.5 times more productive than farmers who are 10th standard pass. So you can imagine, if we educate our farmers, we create a huge possibility of growth there. Oilseeds, as I told you, heavy reliance on imports, and horticulture, livestock, fisheries have emerged as the primary contributors. The interstate variations are observed. So Andhra CAGR was 8.8%, MP at 6.3%, and Tamil Nadu at 4.8%. And mostly they have moved towards high yielding crops, which is reducing the gaps compared to others. So what we see is those states which are still cereal producing, which are still producing wheat, rice, even pulses at times, are not showing as much high growth as compared to those states which are producing the other crops like more of livestock, more of fruits and vegetables, especially in fruits, more fruits which are demanded by the processing industry. So if those states which have done that have grown at a compounded annual growth rate of very high rate. In fact, in Andhra Pradesh, it is the state which has the maximum adaptability to organic farming in India. So again, a state which has adopted organic farming has also shown a comparatively high growth rate. So these are the changes that we see in our whole development process. Then, if we think of further thing, if we look at international comparison and with respect to productivity of crops, see in pulses we are below the international level. Overall in total cereals we are below them. Paddy we are below them. Maize it's far below. Soyabean far below. Groundnut we are almost at international level. Wheat also we are almost at a little below international level. अब समझिए ये इंटरनेशनल से कंपैरिजन किया सर्वे ने, थोड़ा अकलमंदी दिखाए कि ज़्यादा खराब ना दिखे. If we compare it to the high productive countries like South Korea, like China, like United States of America, then we will see that we are very less productive. क्योंकि जब आप इंटरनेशनल कंपैरिजन करते हैं ना, इंटरनेशनल एवरेज, तो उसमें गरीब देश भी आ जाते हैं जिनकी प्रोडक्टिविटी हमसे भी खराब है. बट जब आप actual productive country से compare करेंगे, you will realize that our productivity is much lesser compared to what ideally we would like it to be, because if we want to rub shoulders with the best in the world, the productivity should be matching those rather than being lesser, much lesser than them. Mind you, if we are below the world or if we are equal to the world, it will mean we are far below the top ones in the world. Don't forget that. Average is always about one extreme at the top and one at the bottom and then averaging it out. So the top will then be far ahead of us if we are even below the average. So you can think like that. Okay, then we go further. There is a case study that survey gives on floriculture. So we say that floriculture industry is a sunrise sector, expected to record high growth in future and create high income. That is what you call a sunrise sector. वो सेक्टर जो फ्यूचर में ज़्यादा रिकॉर्ड करने वाला है ग्रोथ, और वो सेक्टर जो ये भी देखता है कि ये ग्रोथ कितनी ज़्यादा, कितनी हाई लेवल पे मैं अचीव करूँगा और एम्प्लॉयमेंट वगैरह कितनी जनरेट करेंगे. It thrives on export demand. The floriculture is growing on that, offering higher returns than traditional crops. You know, in fact, they say that the economic survey says that export demand is actually something which has been the backbone of growing floriculture. But again, remember, in India also there is large demand for flowers. Again, it depends on what kind of flowers are you growing, whether it is demanded domestically or not. So if we can educate our farmers on that and make it popular, that is something that is left for exploration. Then commercial floriculture spans cut flowers, loose flowers, dry flowers, essential oils and pot plants. You know, that is commercial floricultures, you know, that will be demanding those. And they show that integrating flowers into rice-based farming yields better returns than cereals, pulses or vegetables. So, you know, along with paddy, if we integrate flour, the returns are much better than other things like pulses, cereals or vegetables. And with subsidies and crop loans, it benefits small and marginal farmers. Now this is interesting, that small and marginal farmers constitute 96% of total land holdings under floriculture. Now this can make it equitable, that if small and marginal farmers can do that, that is maximum land holding given to them. That can be an income generation method. States like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Maharashtra have developed export-oriented floriculture units. ये मैं आपको classroom में भी हमेशा बोलता रहता हूँ, that finally it lies on the effort done by the state governments. If state governments do good efforts, if state governments create infrastructure, procurement facilities, then we see things become much better compared to what we see otherwise. In fiscal year 24, India exported $86 million worth of floriculture produce, mainly to US, Netherlands, UK, UAE, Canada, etc. Now the amount in absolute terms is much less. Global floriculture market is around $1 billion market. So at the moment we are not even covering 1% properly, 10% properly of that. But then over the period, India can expect that if we keep taking expertise, we can do that. Plus, we import floriculture also. So if we can grow better, maybe the import of floriculture will be something that we can stop, and that can save foreign exchange for us. But the important thing, again I repeat, is that 96% is marginal and small farmers, which plays a very big role for equitable growth in agriculture. Then, you know, if we look at sectoral growth trends, again, India is a leading exporter of grapes, USD 417 million, and Maharashtra as the major city, the Nashik farmers as livelihood has been improved, and export quality for grapes fetch much higher prices. Sahyadri as one of the farmer producer organization in Maharashtra is responsible for 35% of grape exports from India. You know, so that is again something that we are observing. Also, you know, farmers have adopted advanced technologies like real-time monitoring systems to ensure optimal grape quality, and high productivity has attracted youth to grape farming. So this is again something that they talk on grapes, and grape farming is something that has helped in improving things much better. Also, you know, there are entrepreneurs across Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh, who are Madhya Pradesh also, which have used this opportunity of cut flower exports to promote cut flower exports from India. You know, so there are people from Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal and Maharashtra who have taken this opportunity on cut flower exports, and you know, again that is something that is helping floriculture exports. Also, you know, when we look at overall growth of agriculture, we see that we don't see much oil seeds, but we see a lot of fishery, we see a lot of things like pulses, we see a lot of horticulture. So that is India's changing agricultural structure. The point I'm trying to drive to you is that, in fact, fisheries sector after 2015, when the Matsya Sampada Yojana was conceptualized, has recorded a growth rate of 14% compounded annual growth rate, which is also something that is quite interesting, that once the states have started focusing on fisheries sector, we see those things also coming up. Coming back to the discussion then, you know, when we talk of boosting agricultural performance, again there are methods to transform. There is one more thing that I need you to, before I go ahead, I need you to understand that you know, high value crops will, like say horticulture, it's risky, it's perishable, it's high value. So you need to have good insurance support, you need to have good storage support and you need to have good processing support. तो जब भी कोई बोले horticulture growth के लिए क्या चाहिए, good storage, good processing and good amount of insurance support. If we can give these support to our farmers, which Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, etc. are giving, then we can expect more and more export possibilities. Okay, coming to this, when we say what are the steps that have been taken, one is MSP of course, and now as we say MSP is with a formula. This is 1.5 times the weighted average cost of production and it uses A2 plus FL in India as the weighted average cost. Also to support sustainable farming, MSP for nutri-cereal, pulses and oil seeds have been raised, and this is at a faster rate than wheat and rice. The MSP on wheat and rice has been raised at 10%, 11% per annum, but when you look at MSP for other crops, it has been raised at, if take pulses, for some pulses like tur and moong, it has been raised at more than 35%. For some oil seeds like mustard, it has been raised at even 87%. So you know, the government is trying very hard that if they can make sure that MSP can be raised at a faster pace, maybe we can have much better development compared to what we have had till now. Then you know, they say that if we look at the growth prospects, you know, see MSP for masoor has risen 89%, while rapeseed has seen an impressive increase of 98%. तो rapeseed एक oil seed है, मसूर एक pulse है, साथ में मैंने आपको तुर का एग्जाम्पल दिया ही और मस्टर्ड का एग्जाम्पल दिया ही, तो आप इन चारों को यूज कर सकते हैं for MSP there. For arhar it has been raised by 59%, bajra 77%, which means that we are giving much higher MSP on other crops. और ये डेटा अगर तुम याद रख लो तो कोट कर पाओगे that this is a method or a step done by the government to promote crop diversification. You know, that giving more MSP on other crops than on wheat and rice. This is to promote crop diversification. Then we go further. We talk about what seeds and fertilizers government is trying to provide. So due to weather impacts on agriculture, 2177 of 2593 new seed variety released since 2014 focus on climate resistance. Remember, August 2024 also, Prime Minister released 109 climate resilient variety of seeds, mainly in cereals, you know, rice, wheat, pulses, etc. Then heat tolerant wheat varieties have seen widespread adoption, because in February, this year's February was also hot. So if you will see in February में बहुत गर्मी पड़ जाती है, मार्च में पड़ जाती है, तो किसानों को एक बार झटका लगा 2021 में. Suddenly the February heat became high and wheat production dropped considerably. So then after that they have been conscious and they try going for wheat with heat resistant capacity. Similarly, urea gold has been released recently, combining urea with sulfur. Now when that happens, then the wastages are reduced, the shifting of urea to industrial purposes is reduced, and it enhances plants' nutrient uptake. So urea gold is again a big beginning in India. Other than that, we are already giving nutrition based subsidy scheme on DAP and MOP. So that is another advantage in fertilizer. Another thing is we are introducing nano DAP, nano urea, so that the farmers can be trained into using better quality fertilizer. Initially it is giving mixed results. Some farmers are suggesting it is giving high productivity. Some others are suggesting it is not giving high productivity. What has been found from our research is it depends on how the farmer is using nano fertilizer. So if the farmer is using nano fertilizer properly in correct way of spraying it and using it, then the results are better. But when the farmers are not trained to using it, then it is a challenge. Then of course, use of drones is being utilized. Drone Didi scheme is there already, where women-led self-help groups are given loans, and the budget is 12,500 crore rupees, so that they can buy drones and then they can train themselves in drone and provide the services of drones to farmers in rural areas. Then there is fertigation. Fertigation is fertilizer plus irrigation. This is mainly done through drip irrigation technique. Fertilizer plus irrigation. So in that case, the idea is to optimize fertilizer application. PM Pranam initiative incentivizes states to adopt fertilizers such as nano urea and nano DAP and organic fertilizer. क्यों? PM Pranam क्या है? Pranam, अगर आप 2 साल पहले के मेरे बजट डिस्कशन को देखेंगे तो वहां भी मैं ये डिस्कस कर रहा था. Pranam stands for program for, see the idea is here, for understanding the soil and then incentivizing the states, to use fertilizer in such a way that they reduce the use of chemical fertilizer. If they reduce the use of chemical fertilizer, it enhances the capacity of states for reducing the subsidy on chemical fertilizer. और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने क्या इंसेंटिव दिया है? The amount of subsidy that the state governments reduce on chemical fertilizer, the amount of subsidy that the state governments reduce on fertilizer subsidy, the central government will give them 50% of that amount as grant for infrastructure development in agriculture. Suppose a state was giving 100 rupees as fertilizer subsidy. If the state reduces it to 50 rupees, then 50 rupees have been saved. So central government will give 25 rupees as further fertilizer subsidy in the process. So it is program for restoration, awareness generation, nourishment and amelioration of Mother Earth. That is PM Pranam. Program for restoration, awareness generation, nourishment and amelioration of Mother Earth. That is PM Pranam. Program for restoration, awareness generation, nourishment, amelioration of Mother Earth. So the idea is control the use of chemical fertilizer. Survey ये बात नहीं कहते, but chemical fertilizer कम करने को यहाँ नहीं कहते, बाद में कहते हैं. Chemical fertilizer कम करने के लिए ही सरकार natural farming को बढ़ावा दे रही है, organic farming को बढ़ावा दे रही है. That is the basic idea to make sure that as much as possible reduce the use of chemical fertilizers. Then also for irrigation the government is trying to improve capacity. So sector vulnerable to rainfall variability as only 55% net sown area receives irrigation assured. It is not that the others don't receive irrigation, but assured irrigation is with 55% of net sown area. But it's an improvement. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, they started it in 2014-15 and in 2014 43% area achieved assured irrigation. It's risen to 55. It is an achievement, but we need to do far better than that. Also, 2/3 agricultural land faces threat of droughts with varying risks. Implication of erratic monsoon impacts more pronounced on marginal and small land holdings. That is the trouble part. Because remember, the rich farmers can save themselves by using technology, by using better type of seeds. But for small and marginal farmers, the trouble becomes huge. Also, we see some manifestations of climate change. ये आप quote कर सकते हैं as manifestations. Increase in dry spells during summer monsoon season. It increased by 27% in the last 30 years, 81 to 2011, compared to 51 to 80. The frequency and geographical spread of droughts has increased, and extreme rainfall events increased by 75%. Now, you know what's happening then? We are either having droughts or having extreme rainfall, and that makes people vulnerable to both sides of the calamity. Then, of course, if we see, studies suggest extreme variation impacts yields more than minor variation. Therefore, assured irrigation and climate resilient seeds are important. Similarly, drought and heat waves have more pronounced effect than flood and cold wave, underscoring need of irrigation. So that is why this is the challenge. Heat has major impact negative than cold. Now, interstate variation in coverage, if you see, अब आप ये देखिए 98% area, gross cropped area in Punjab is irrigated, 94% in Haryana, 84% in UP, 86% in Telangana. But if you look at Jharkhand and Assam, it is below 20%. Even if you look at Bihar, Odisha, West Bengal, the assured irrigation possibilities go less. मैं हमेशा ये बोलता हूँ कि कुछ लोग गलत दिशा दे रहे हैं देश को, ये कह के कि चैलेंज नॉर्थ वर्सेस साउथ है. चैलेंज नॉर्थ वर्सेस साउथ नहीं है, चैलेंज ईस्ट वर्सेस द रेस्ट है. if north versus south अगर आप बोलें, Haryana is the richest state in this country per capita income wise, that's north. If you look at Himachal Pradesh, they are doing well income wise, again that's north. If you look at J&K as union territories, that's north. Delhi, that's north. Gujarat, that's north of Vindhyas. So it's not that North Indian states necessarily are doing badly. Rajasthan's social indicators have improved tremendously in the recent past, north. But if you look at Bihar, Jharkhand, Eastern Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Odisha, seven sister states of Northeast, that is where we are struggling with respect to our income generation, productivity enhancement, agriculture productivity. तो कभी भी नॉर्थ साउथ सुनने पे हम झगड़ा करने लग जाएंगे. ये तो चाइना के लिए म्यूजिक होगा ऐसा सुनना कि वो कहेंगे कि बढ़िया ये देश टूट जाए, हमारा चैलेंजर चला जाएगा. हमें ज़रूरी ये समझना कि हमारे ट्रबल एरिया कौन से हैं. हमारा ईस्टर्न साइड इज इन ट्रबल, द नॉर्थन ईस्टर्न पार्ट, and that is where more help is needed. Information campaigns are needed, education development, and since agriculture is the staple employment source in most of these states, if we can enhance agriculture through better technology, through food processing, through proper development of seed distribution, then we can develop India all over, with Eastern India becoming the bulwark of that growth. So that, if you ask me, should be the method rather than saying it to be north-south. Then coming back to this, when we talk about government initiatives for rainfall, per drop more crop under PM Krishi Sinchai Yojana. So rupees 22,000 crore has been released to states in this. Micro-irrigation fund has supported innovative projects through 2% interest subvention. ये आप अपने notes में add कर सकते हैं जो मैंने irrigation पे लिखवाया है. Similarly, rain-fed area development program under राष्ट्रीय कृषि विकास योजना has covered 8 lakh hectares. ये भी अपने irrigation के notes में तुम add कर सकते हो. rain-fed area development program की बात की थी मैंने, but उसमें add कर सकते हो कि 8 lakh hectares का increment हो गया. एंड रीयूविनेटिंग वाटर बॉडीज, इसकी भी बात अगर आपको याद हो कृषि सिंचाई योजना में करते थे, वहां पर ये ऐड कर लो कॉम्पोजिट लैंड असेसमेंट एंड रेस्टोरेशन टूल, एंड अवनी ग्रामीण ऐप help identify and monitor recharge of groundwater and water bodies through geoinformatics. So this is what is important. ये points अगर तुमने अपने irrigation के साथ add कर लिए, तुम्हारा पूरा syllabus एक irrigation specifically mention करता है. अब सोचो, if you are writing these points, definitely you are talking about the steps taken by government to promote irrigation and what is being done to overcome the challenge where irrigation subsidy can be removed, better information can be given, and irrigation's productivity can be enhanced. Then if you see the micro irrigation part, अब अगेन इसको अच्छे से पढ़ोगे क्योंकि माइक्रो इरिगेशन पे पूरा एक सिलेबस में एक लाइन लिखा हुआ है हमारे सिलेबस के अंदर. So there is an increase in area under micro irrigation in India, 8% of irrigated area. It mainly consists of drip irrigation. It also consists of sprinkler irrigation, broiler irrigation. These are micro irrigation techniques we are seeing in India. The pace is still slow. Americans have 68% area under irrigation micro, but then remember America has only 1% population in agriculture, that also pretty rich farmers. $81,000 उनके per capita GDP है अमेरिका की और $97,000 उनके farmers की per capita income है, because Americans subsidize their farming heavily. इसीलिए जब ट्रम्प ये बोले that remove your import duty on agriculture, Indian team should negotiate with him by saying, sure, we can remove our import duty on agriculture, provided you reduce the subsidy per capita terms to your farmers. So if you can make a level playing field by reducing the per capita subsidy to your farmers, we will have no qualms in reducing our irrigation, our subsidy to our farmers and reducing our import duties. But that they will not agree to, but ideally we should be doing that. हमें ये उनको बोलना चाहिए कि भाई देखिए, आप जो सब्सिडी देते हैं पर कैपिटा टर्म्स में, वो हमारी सब्सिडी से 14 टाइम्स ज़्यादा है. आप सोचिए, मैंने फिर रिपीट करूंगा, अमेरिका की पर कैपिटा जीडीपी $81,000 है और उनके किसानों की पर कैपिटा इनकम $97,000 है. इंडिया की पर कैपिटा जीडीपी $2,800 है, बट हमारे किसानों की पर कैपिटा इनकम $1,470 है. सो आवर फार्मर्स आर 70 times poorer than their farmers. If they want us to remove subsidy on agricultural goods, well, all the best to them. Then how do we do that? And that is the reasonability we can talk to them with. Anyways, then drip irrigation reduces water consumption by 39 to 55% and boosts crop yield by 33 to 41% due to targeted water delivery compared to flood irrigation. So that is again something important. We need to keep that in mind. And you know, if you see, this shows the massive change we have had. We are growing slow on micro irrigation, but the graph goes steep in the last 8-9 years. So that is again something you can keep in mind. Then, you know, if we look at agricultural credit, that's again something very important for farming development. So adequate credit support for small and marginal farmer is crucial. Ground level credit to agriculture has shown impressive growth with a CAGR of 13% from 15 to 25, and ground level credit has risen from 8.45 lakh crore to 25.48 lakh crore. लेकिन इसमें ये ध्यान रखना होगा आपको कि जो स्मॉल एंड मार्जिनल फार्मर्स हैं, उनका शेयर 3 लाख करोड़ 3.5 लाख करोड़ से 14.39 लाख करोड़ अभी पहुंचा है. पर इसमें भी ध्यान देने की बात यह है कि इसमें ये ज्यादा वहां पहुंचा है where the small and marginal farmers have been able to arrange themselves as farmer producer organization or farming credit cooperatives. So whenever they organize themselves as farmer producer organization or farming cooperatives, the ground level credit has reached much better. But otherwise, if you are a very small farmer, very marginal farmer, credit offtake is still not very high. Also, you know, states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Punjab, Haryana and Maharashtra, these 5 states have been able to reach the ground level farmers much better compared to the other states of India. Then, you know, if we look at agricultural credit, it shows again an increasing trend. ये prelims के point of view से याद रखोगे that in 2019 also it was around 13 lakh crore and it is almost double of that by 2024. And most of this is crop loan. We have term loans given, but most of it is crop loan. Also remember, with formalization of agriculture, we can expect more agricultural credit to grow, but formalization of agriculture will also be a requirement. Then if we see decline in share of non-institutional credit, that's a very good news that, you know, earlier in 1951, 95% almost total credit was through informal sector and hardly 5% was formal. Now it is 75% formal, 25% informal. तो ये एक अच्छी बात है that informal credit is declining in agriculture. But यहाँ सर्वे ये बात नहीं करते, but in informal credit 83% share is of the small and marginal farmers. So it means that small and marginal farmers are taking informal credit quite disproportionately. Of course, the growth in credit has gone up as the arrow shows, but still their share in informal credit has been relatively higher, which we need to understand. Then we go further. When we talk about agricultural credit, reliance on non-institutional credit has come down. Kisan credit cards, now this is important, we started it in 1998, and this Kisan credit card is for short-term capital requirements, mainly for input purchase, fertilizer, seeds, that is input purchase. And there are 7.75 crore Kisan credit cards with outstanding of rupees 9.8 lakh crores, and also issued for fisheries and animal husbandry from 2021. That now government allows fisheries and animal husbandries also to have Kisan credit card. In fact, in future they should be expanding it to promoting it rather to poultry, beekeepers, and that will enhance capacity to purchase. But इसमें RBI ने एक चिंता का विषय बताया है that NPAs are rising in Kisan credit card going beyond 180 days. So for Kisan credit card, they don't treat NPA immediately. NPA is treated after one cropping season, almost 6 months. And that NPA has shown some rising trend in Kisan credit card. So that is something the government should keep a watch on, because this habit of not paying the loan catches up very soon. So if we don't take good action and don't make sure that the loan is paid, it will be trouble. The best way should be to block the card if the credit is not properly resolved. That will actually deter many people from defaulting. Similarly, prompt repayment incentive and modified interest subvention scheme for interest subvention has been given. So prompt repayment incentive is, if you pay back on time, then the interest rate you are being charged will also be reduced. If you pay back on time, then the interest rate that you are being charged will be reduced. And modified interest subvention scheme is that a flat 7% interest rate will be charged in agriculture, so that the farmers pay a lesser interest rate compared to what they pay otherwise. Else there are interest subvention schemes of 3%, 5%, 2% and so on. Interest subvention का मतलब क्या होता है? That you will have to pay that much interest rate lesser than the market interest rate. That is interest subvention scheme. जैसे मान लीजिए किसी ने कहा that this program will have interest subvention of 3%. तो इसका मतलब है that if market interest rate is 10%, then the beneficiary will have to pay an interest of 7%. That is modified interest subvention scheme. Then priority sector lending, we already know that 40% of adjusted net bank credit is to go for priority sector lending, out of which 18% is for agriculture. So there is enough method for agriculture. And then Kisan Rin portal has now been established, that in modified interest subvention scheme, if you see any kind of a challenge, then the Kisan Rin portal can help you in paying back the money. So that is again something which they have worked on. Also in agricultural credit, PM Fasal Bima Yojana has seen a lot of growth. So this scheme acts as a crop insurance scheme against natural calamity, pests, diseases. This is the largest crop insurance program in terms of farmer enrollment, not in terms of premium paid, but in terms of farmer enrollment. 4 crore farmers enrolled in 24, and it is the third largest in terms of premiums. Ensures financial stability. Why? Because farmers can use modern techniques, farmers can take calculated risks, they can grow high value crops, knowing that if something goes wrong, the government will save them through insurance scheme, not by a loan waiver, not that they have to go to money lender. The insurance company will pay for their losses, and that is the good thing. It is a very good step along with the credit delivery mechanism to convert farmers into entrepreneurs. Then it ensures financial stability, incentivizes farmers to adopt modern production techniques and increase productivity. The new technological interventions are YesTech. ये फसल बीमा योजना को enhance कर रहा है. ये अपने notes में फसल बीमा योजना के add कर लोगे, that this is to enhance Fasal Bima Yojana. So YesTech is one, which is yield estimation system based on technology. winds is another, weather information and network data systems, and cropping is another, collection of real time observation and photograph of crops. याद रख लो इनको, जब तुम ये लिखोगे तुम्हें definitely अच्छे नंबर मिलेंगे. And these interventions have improved transparency and they have contributed to reducing premium rates. तो farmer के ऊपर बोझ कम, subsidy का बोझ सरकार पर कम. And then acreage and farmer enrollments have gone up, and they have gone up quite tremendously. You know, the acreage has gone up by 37% and farmer enrollment has gone up by 33%. So, you know, both acreage and farmers enrollment has gone up when it comes to the Fasal Bima Yojana that we have observed in the recent past. And majorly, you know, if you see, it is by more popularizing of agricultural credit, even by the government, by saying that their farmers will have voluntary access to it. The farmers will not be forced to take it up. So what that does is it encourages many farmers to take this kind of a thing in right stride. Also, you know, just giving you the data there, that the insured area has expanded to 600 lakh hectares in fiscal year 24. You know, it was comparatively much less at 500 lakh hectares, and it was only 400 lakh hectares in 2022. Now it is 600 lakh hectares. Also, you know, the enrolled farmers have now reached 4 crore from 3 crore a year ago. So that is the enhancement that we see in Fasal Bima Yojana. Then, you know, if we look at agriculture mechanization, we see that government has created some methods like submission on agricultural mechanization to establish custom hiring center. Custom hiring center का मतलब क्या है? Every village, every place will have its hiring centers, and these hiring centers will give rental machines to farmers. So that is customs hiring centers. Also, it gives training and demonstrations related to machinery, and it assists farmers in acquisition of machinery, etc. So over 26,000 custom hiring centers have been established in India. The benefit is improves mechanization, 1, 2, reduces crop loss, and 3, promotes cheaper availability of capital goods for farmers. So these are the benefits that these kind of schemes create. Also, providing drones to self-help groups, as the Drone Didi scheme I told you, 15,000 self-help groups have been selected to offer rental services for application of fertilizer and pesticides using drones. In fact, you know, the drones can also be used to assure that if there is pest infestation in the crop, or if there is a particular part of crop which is you know going bad, so that can also be the usage that the drones can create. In fact, the central government is giving a financial assistance of 80% of the drones cost, you know, and ancillary charges, with a maximum of 8 lakh rupees limit to these self-help groups. That 80% of drone costs and maximum of up to 8 lakh rupees will be granted for support to these self-help groups. It is projected by survey that this will help these groups in enhancing their income by at least 1 lakh rupees. Then, you know, when we look at agricultural extension, extension का मतलब होता है help to farmers through better information, expertise and resources. तो अगर मैं देखूं यहाँ, submission on agricultural extension bolsters extension services and enhances agricultural knowledge, productivity and entrepreneurship across India. You know, that is again something that they are doing. The submission on agricultural extension, they are making sure that extension services are enhanced, entrepreneurship is increased so that the farmers are trained how to be entrepreneurs, and overall that increases the productivity. In fact, this is where they say that it it supports technology dissemination through training of farmers, demonstrations, exposure visits, and these exposure visits have been tremendously increasing in the recent times, and farm schools benefiting more than 8.15 million farmers by November 24. Also, Agricultural Technology Management Agency, ATMA, under SMAE focuses on sharing latest agricultural technologies to boost production. In fact, what has been observed is again states like Haryana, Telangana, Gujarat and Assam have been focusing a lot on developing 4 regional educational institutes. 4 regional educational institutes have been established in Haryana, Gujarat, Telangana and Assam. And more than 8,000 extension workers have been trained to disseminate knowledge at a faster pace. Good thing is that whatever is the query of the farmer is being resolved by creating a Kisan call center, and another good thing is that these queries are resolved in regional languages, the 22 official languages from 17 locations all over India. So these are the benefits we see with respect to extension services. Keep them in mind. That will be very handy in writing an answer on extension services if they come by chance individually. Now, agricultural marketing has always been a talking point because India, producing a lot of crops, needs to make sure that marketing is done properly. So what are we doing there? One, the government is providing capital subsidies of 25% for plains and 33% for hilly region, women, SC/ST promoters and FPOs for projects such as storage, rural hearts, market yards and value chain infrastructure. तो सरकार जो है वो कैपिटल सब्सिडी दे रहे हैं कि अगर आप कोई मशीन लगाते हैं, आप कोई फैक्ट्री लगाते हैं और यू आर एस्टैब्लिशिंग सम काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन यूनिट, देन गवर्नमेंट विल गिव 25% subsidy on that capital subsidy in the plains and 33.33% in hilly regions or to the vulnerable group to make sure that there is high enough production capacity that we can develop. Also, 48,600 plus storage projects have received more than 4,500 crore of subsidies, while 21,000 infrastructure projects were supported with 2,100 crore subsidies. याद क्या रखना है आपको? Majorly high subsidy given by the government in promoting more and more amount of agricultural infrastructure. In fact, that is why the government had initiated Agricultural Infrastructure Development Fund in 2021 to assure that more and more subsidies can be given to them. If you look at that, the basic idea is to boost farm gate infrastructure, that is post-harvest infrastructure, and it provides medium-term debt financing for post-harvest management. In the class I taught you this, if you recall, that 7 years loan will be given. Not more than 2 crore rupees worth of loan can be collateral free, and the scheme will target all sorts of businesses, farmers, cooperatives, FPOs to develop post-harvest infrastructure. In fact, the survey explicitly talks about empowering the farmers through Maha Producer Company Limited. This Maha Farmer Producer, ये आपको मिलेगा सर्वे में 262 पेज पर बॉक्स 9.5. ये बहुत ही रेलेवेंट है, ये आपको पता रहना चाहिए. ये महा फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर कंपनी लिमिटेड is actually a state level producer company helping FPOs already. ये महाराष्ट्र में है और ये क्या करते हैं that ये 646 FPOs को मदद करते हैं to procure and sell agricultural products. Procure करने में भी, sell करने में भी, including pulses and perishable items. तो ये क्या करते हैं? मल्टीपल प्रोक्योरमेंट सेंटर बनाते हैं. नंबर 1, there are various places where you can procure. Number 2, it reduces transportation costs for the farmers. They can reach much quicker. And number 3, most importantly, it ensures timely payment at minimum support price. So that is what Maha Farmers Procurement Producer Company Limited does. कि ये number 1, multiple places of purchase बनाते हैं. Number 2, transportation cost is reduced, and number 3, MSP is given to the farmers without much ado. Also, what they are doing is they are benefiting now in assuring that FPOs develop their own infrastructure, and they have been assisting more than 1.7 lakh farmers. They have created employment opportunities by establishing this supply chain. So that is again something which is quite interesting. Another thing that the survey talks about is Kerala experience of land leasing. They say that Kerala has had a very interesting experience because in 2016, Niti Aayog had given a National Land Leasing Act model, Agricultural Land Leasing Act. So what Kerala has done at the moment is it has created an innovative arrangement where land leasing is done for at least a period of 3 years and up to 5 years. At least a period of 3 years, up to 5 years. And then it is given to women or men's self-help groups. Now, the interest thing is that this agreement is made under the Indian Contract Act 1872. So it's a formal agreement which allows the lessee, जिन्होंने loan lease लिया है, to even use this agreement to take loans from the banks because they have a valid contract now. They take loans from the banks to diversify the cropping pattern, to grow high value crops over here. And the lessor is released or relaxed. They know that I will get my money back and they will get some rentals on this land. And the output productivity has gone quite high. The survey says that the land access for poor has now become much better, with 85% of beneficiaries in this land lease agreement coming from poor category. Also, the Gram Panchayat becomes the nodal body for transaction, so disputes can be settled locally if they arise. So that's a very good model that they have developed in Kerala with respect to land leasing system. Then, if we look further, ENAM scheme is there where there is efficiency in marketing and price discovery. 75 lakh rupees is being given per agricultural produce marketing committee mandi for essential hardware, for assaying. Assaying is sorting. फसल को छटनी करने को कहते हैं. Grading, that is agmark and all, sorting and cleaning. And 1.78 crore farmers and 2.62 lakh traders and 9,200 FPOs have registered under ENAM portal. So it's expanding gradually, and transactions worth almost 2.5 lakh crore are now happening via ENAM. Then, MAHAFPC, FPC I have already discussed with you. You can take down from the notes you will have, you can always take down from the place. And land leasing in Kerala I already discussed with you. I come now to this climate action in agriculture. That is, what is government doing for climate change, policy action. So, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, as it is called, under National Action Plan on Climate Change, focuses on integrated farming. Integrated farming kya hai? Where multiple actions take place on the land and each action supports the other. For example, the cattle can be fed crop residue and the cattle dung can be used as fertilizer. For example, poultry can pick up weeds from the land and poultry can be fed grains from the land. Aquaculture can increase water table of the land and fish can be given poultry residue as food. Beekeeping can increase cross pollination and the nectar will increase with more flowers on the land for honey production to rise. So different things done together, supporting each other, natural farming promoted, plus less dependence on chemical inputs. More importantly, seasonal unemployment and disguised unemployment can be controlled. So that is the idea of integrated farming. Water use efficiency and soil health management plus resource conservation. To support organic farming, we have Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, where 52,000 plus clusters covering around 15 lakh hectares and 25 lakh farmers have been mobilized. The idea is to train them into doing organic farming. Government is also giving them 20,000 rupees per hectare as an incentive to choose micro farming. Then of course we have the Mission Organic Value Chain Development for Northeastern region. 434 farmer producer companies have been created covering 1.7 lakh hectares and benefiting 2.19 lakh hectares. जो मैंने आपको ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग पे बताया, आप इन्हें ऐड कर सकते हैं further in your notes as steps for organic farming. And organic farming is more productive in the sense of income earning capacity. Organic farming also is heavily in demand in the export market, so has the potential to increase India's export capacity. That is also what organic farming can do. अगर कोई आपको बोलते हैं, द हिंदू में लिख देते हैं ये सब, that Sri Lanka shifted to organic farming, look what happened. Doesn't make sense. Sri Lanka did a mistake of shifting all its crop and shifting immediately to organic farming. India is doing none of the two, so we don't see any major challenge on that. Then we go further, we say livestock sector, that has been a significant engine of growth. अब ये number याद रखिए, ये prelims में पूछा जा सकता है, that the share of livestock sector has gone up from 24.3% to 30% in the fiscal year 23. That is where the share of livestock sector has gone up. Now, why has that happened? And yes, the output value has also gone up to 205 billion USD, of which milk sector alone contributes 133 billion. In fact, the contribution by milk sector now is larger than value of wheat and rice, which shows that if we can instigate more and more production towards allied activities in agriculture, we can create much better richness for our farmers compared to what we have done till now. Now, government initiatives include Rashtriya Gokul Mission. So, in one line, if I can tell you, Rashtriya Gokul Mission is for development and conservation of indigenous bovine breeds. Development and conservation of indigenous bovine breeds. That is Rashtriya Gokul Mission. Development and conservation of indigenous मतलब जो भारतीय हो, bovine breed का मतलब जो गांव के breeds हो. Another is livestock health and disease control program. इसके लिए तो सरकार ने बहुत सारे पैसे भी दिए हैं, करीब 1500 करोड़ रुपए, 1500 crore rupees has been given for this in the last two budgets, and this is for enhancing the well-being of livestock, including proper vaccination against foot and mouth disease, proper cure facilities, and so on. Another is promotion of IVF technology and sex-sorted semen production. This here, the thing is crossbreeding to be improved, better breeding situations to be developed, so that we can have more and more productivity of female cows in giving birth to the next gen. And then these initiatives will help the farmers in choosing the cow. See, it's happening genetically in India, abroad. They are choosing the sex of the calf, because ox is not that useful anymore, because tractors have come in to plow. So a lot of sex choice is happening in calf growth, where cows are being chosen, that more female cows rather than male. Whether it's good, bad, ugly for nature, I don't know, but that's happening big time in the world now. Also there is something which is called Maitri, which is mechanism of multi-purpose AI technicians in rural India, has been established to deliver breeding inputs to farmers doorstep. So that is again something which is important, that अगर farmer के doorstep तक ये breeding input पहुंचा दिए जाए using AI technicians, that will again make a very huge impact. Then for fisheries, ये तो बहुत important मानता हूँ मैं, आपको याद होगा मैं क्लास में भी बोलता था, I am expecting a question from fisheries very soon in our exam. So you must do this very well. The total fish production has surged to 184 lakh tons in fiscal year 23, up from 95 lakh tons in 14, so almost 100% growth in last 9 years. Seafood exports have risen from 46,000 crore to 60,000 crore in 24, reflecting a growth of 29.7% in last 4 years. And government initiatives are Matsya Sampada Yojana, Matsya hai, mast nahi hai, dhyan rakhoge. So Matsya Sampada Yojana to boost aquaculture productivity, that is inland fisheries, on land you develop those fisheries, and improve fisheries management. Matsya Sampada Yojana में ये भी किया जा रहा है that they are giving cheaper loans to the farmers with interest subvention schemes, collateral free, so that people can pick up more and more fishery development. And then there is Fishery and Aquaculture Infrastructure Development Fund. That is again a very good beginning that they have done. This is to provide financial support to develop marine infrastructure, river infrastructure, breed infrastructure. If we can do infrastructure, means what? Processing facility, storage facility, transportation facility, that is the infrastructure logistics that we are trying to establish. Then of course there are fishing harbors that are being established, there are digital platforms, also there is fish landing centers that are being brought in, they're all being brought up across. In fact, one thing that is becoming quite famous is recirculating aquaculture system, that is about to grow fish while continuously filtering and reusing water. That is recirculating aquaculture system, that you keep growing fish while you continuously keep circulating and growing water. So that is one thing. Another thing that the government has done is developed biofloc system. In biofloc system, FLOC, floc, in biofloc system they are using microorganisms to convert organic waste and uneaten feed and excreta into protein rich feed directly put into water. Biofloc system. So in this bioflocs they are converting, or they are using bacteria and algae to convert organic waste into uneaten feed and excreta into protein rich food to be fed directly into the water. Another thing they are developing is pens, PENS, pens. These pens are नेटेड इंक्लोजर्स इन नेचुरल वाटर बॉडीज. आप बहुत जगह देखेंगे, अगर आप नेचुरल वाटर बॉडी में जाएंगे, मैं भी कुछ दिन पहले चिल्का लेक गया था, वहां पर भी मैंने ये देखा कि ये नेटेड इंक्लोजर बनाकर रखते हैं जो फिश को रेस्ट्रिक्ट करते हैं एक स्पेसिफिक एरिया में, सो दैट इट अलाउज वाटर एक्सचेंज टू हैपन बट फिश कैन बी कॉट फ्रॉम दैट एरिया. एंड अनदर थिंग वी सी इज कॉल्ड रेसवेज. Raceways are narrow channels with continuous one-way water flow, supplying oxygen and removing waste efficiently. तो इसको रेसवे कहते हैं. वन वे चैनल्स सप्लाइंग ऑक्सीजन एंड रिमूविंग वेस्ट वाटर एफिशिएंटली. तो याद क्या करोगे कि आप ध्यान रख लेंगे कि अलग अलग तरीके हैं टू बूस्ट फिशिंग इन इंडिया. रीसर्क्युलेटिंग एक्वाकल्चर सिस्टम, बायोफ्लॉक्स, पेंस एंड रेसवेज. Again, these are things that survey mentions. If you write these things, we are in a much better scope of scoring well in the exam. Then, what we also see is with respect to cooperative societies. Again, government has been focusing a lot on cooperatives. Amit Shah ji ko Ministry of Cooperative banakar uska minister बनाए, so that cooperatives can become a method of promoting grassroots level development in India. That is the basic idea on that. Now, when you get to this, see, first is introduction of model bylaws for primary agricultural credit societies to streamline operations, computerization of PACS for enhanced efficiency and transparency. In fact, the budget has targeted 63,000 PACS to be entirely covered by computerization. Then multi-purpose PACS not only for primary agricultural credit but also dedicated dairy and fishery cooperatives which can serve diverse community needs. So for cooperatives they are doing this, and they are also allowing cooperatives to establish retail fuel outlets and micro ATMs for better banking access. Rupee Kisan credit cards are specifically now given for dairy cooperatives. So the achievements are 35,293 PACS are now functioning as Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Kendras to provide fertilizers, and 1,723 micro ATMs have been distributed through these cooperatives. In fact, 240 PACS have also now taken license for retail petrol and diesel outlets in rural areas, and 39 are currently already selected to give these service offerings. All right, then we move to food processing, one of the most important sectors again that we look at. We see that this accounts for 12% of employment in organized manufacturing, food processing. In fact, it also accounts for 16% of employment in the unorganized manufacturing. So overall food processing contributes 12% to organized, 16% almost to unorganized sector with respect to employment. Also, the share of processed food exports within agri-food exports has risen from 14.9% to 23.4%. So gradually India is taking a stand where we are exporting more and more processed food rather than only a simple raw food in raw agricultural product. So that's again a good signal for us. the processed food exports have now reached a level where they are touching almost $5 billion of exports, $6 billion of exports from India. The total agricultural exports recorded last year was around $47 billion. That was the total agricultural exports recorded last year, and processed food is touching almost $7-8 billion out of that. Now, the government of India has gone for Kisan Sampada Yojana, where they are developing modern infrastructure and optimizing supply chains from farm to retail. In fact, there is a talk also of establishing mega food parks to make sure that Kisan Sampada can be enhanced quickly. All right, that is the idea of the factors. Then of course, next is Pradhan Mantri formalization of micro food processing enterprises, PMFBY schemes. The loans of 8,000 crore rupees have been sanctioned to more than 1 lakh applicants. The idea is to formalize the micro processing system. Production linked incentive scheme for food processing has been initiated from 2021, and this is for facilitating branding and marketing initiatives in international markets also. PLI for food processing from 2021, focusing on branding and marketing initiative for food processing. More than 8,000 crore has been given to beneficiaries under production linked incentive scheme for food processing also. Then if we go further, when we see food management and food security, that is about applying National Food Security Act, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, PDS, PPDS, all these are being used to make sure there is sufficient supply of food. Also, we have brought in One Nation, One Ration Card scheme, where beneficiaries can complete their electronic know your customer thing anywhere regardless of home state. इसका benefit क्या है One Nation, One Ration Card का? That earlier, if I was a migrant labor, I would not get rationed food if I was in some other state because I was not recognized. And worst was, my food would be given to somebody else in the black market, misusing my provisions. So One Nation, One Ration Card has made that difference, where even if I am not in my state, I will be able to get my food product. Also, for food management and food security, government has started electronic negotiable warehouse receipt. इसमें क्या है, मान लीजिए मैं किसान हूँ, मैंने warehouse में अपना सामान रखा है, I will get a warehouse receipt and I can use it as a negotiable instrument, that is a collateral, to take loan from the banks. That is the idea here. Also, for storage infrastructure, they have focused on steel silos in public-private partnership, hub and spoke model silos, that is one hub where major storage will be done, and various spoke to make the product reach different markets. तो ये हो गए spoke और ये बना hub. तो एक जगह होगा जहां सारी चीजें stored होंगी और फिर वो पूरी तरह जगह पर spread कर दी जाएंगी. Then there is pilot project for flow span by WFP, a mobile storage unit, so that they keep moving and they will keep storing and they will keep distributing. That is flow span. And then smart warehouse pilot with WFP and IGMRI using sensors to monitor temperature, humidity, rodent activity, etc. to avoid and control wastage. So if this can be done, the wastages can be controlled by a great extent. Then, in conclusion, survey says there is increased significance of allied sectors now. 30% is their control in agriculture. Diversification is important to build resilience and augment incomes. So, that shows that if we shift the farmers towards integrated farming, livestock rearing, poultry, that will promote resilience to weather conditions. That will also promote resilience to sudden shocks in the market. Resilience to weather condition can also be supported through better quality seeds. Resilience to weather condition can also be supported through timing of the crop according to the changing situations that can be predicted using artificial intelligence and large learning models. Also, aligning agriculture with regional agroclimatic conditions is vital. So invest in research and development, climate resilient crops, micro-irrigation and digital technology. यही मैं आपको समझा रहा था, ये अगर आप करेंगे तो जो क्लाइमेट चेंज हो रहा है उसका इंपैक्ट कम पड़ेगा, साथ में इंटीग्रेटेड फार्मिंग, then the climate change impact will be felt much lesser. Improving price discovery and market efficiency using ENAM and empowering cooperatives and FPOs, giving more importance to FPOs, more importance to cooperatives, gradually connecting more and more farmers under ENAM, more and more transactions under ENAM, all that will play its own role. And then of course, modernizing food grain storage in remote hilly areas. Remember, in hilly areas, the challenges of even reaching the food grains. So it is important we focus on storage, we focus on real-time account keeping, we also make sure that distribution is done properly so that India is not only hunger secured but also nutrition secured. अब सिर्फ wheat rice की ज़रूरत नहीं है, अब हमें चाहिए कि हम चलें आगे, pulses create करें, eggs, milk, protein पे ध्यान दें, मिनरल्स पे ध्यान दें, विटामिन्स पे ध्यान दें, ताकि हम, अभी आप सोचिए, अभी हमारे मिनिस्टर साहब जवाब दे रहे थे पार्लियामेंट में, तो उन्होंने कहा that 37% children in India are still stunted. That can be removed if we can focus on nutrition and not only hunger, because nutrition of mother also is important to remove stunting of child. Of course, along with that, you need timely vaccination, you need availability of medicines, you need to remove underage motherhood. All that will also remove stunting, but this is something India should be focusing on. Then allow farmers to receive market signals. Contract farming is must in India now. We must go for it. Address overproduction of cereals and underproduction of pulses. ये market signal नहीं मिलते हैं उन्हें. MSP क्या है? Supply side है सिर्फ. Cost कितना है, उस पर क्या मिलना चाहिए. Demand side भी तो होना चाहिए, लोग देने को कितना तैयार हैं. नहीं तो सरकार wheat और rice करके कितना accumulate करेंगे. तो अगर signals दोनों side से मिले, supply क्या, cost this, demand this, then farmers will realize there is tremendous demand for tomato, potato, onion, green vegetables, cotton, sugarcane, and that all can be then looked into. And then of course, market mechanism to hedge risk. This is forward trading. अगर आज ही डिसाइड हो जाए फार्मर में और ट्रेडर में कि एक महीने बाद, 6 महीने बाद, साल भर बाद क्या क्रॉप का प्राइस वो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं. सो ब्रिंग इन फॉरवर्ड ट्रेडिंग. इंडिया में फॉरवर्ड ट्रेडिंग 1952 से है एग्रीकल्चर में, लेकिन ये प्रोनाउंस नहीं है और हम टाइम टू टाइम बैन कर देते हैं बहुत क्रॉप्स में. सो इफ वी बैन इट इन क्रॉप्स, पीपल अगेन बिकम लेस एंड लेस interested in it. But if we do forward trading, it will allow farmers to hedge or protect against sudden risks क्योंकि price पहले ही fixed होगा. Also, forward trading over 5-6 years becomes a trend and gives a signal of what can happen in future. And then of course, right policies to nudge farmers from impairing soil quality. Irrigation पे subsidy कम करिए, fertilizer पे subsidy कम करिए, reduce the subsidy on fertilizer, reduce the subsidy on irrigation. Focus कहाँ करें? Invest in irrigation. How do we invest? Focus on rainwater harvesting systems, drip irrigation systems, sprinkler irrigation systems. Focus on revitalizing the local sources like ponds and rivers. Focus on maintenance and repair of canals, tanks. Also focus on more research and development so that fertilizer use is minimized, better crop choices are made, natural farming can be promoted, and that all will remove soil impairment. So this is what survey suggests. Thanks a lot to all of you, you have been here. With this, we have finished the second module. I will be beginning with the third module next week. We will again take 3 days and finish the third module, and then we will get into the fourth module. So I hope to see you in the next week again. First module and second module are completed. So we are done on chapters 7, 8, 9, which was the second module, and we had done earlier chapters 1, 2, 4. तो 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9 ये मैं ख़त्म कर चुका हूँ. अगले मॉड्यूल में 10, 11, 12, 13 की तरफ जाएंगे, and then we will go back to finishing chapters 3, 5 and 6. So I'll see you soon. All the best to you. God bless you. Yeah.